Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Duff, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Just Jonathan.
Hello.
It's just us today. Everyone
Yeah.
else got stuff going on, but we wanted to make sure we were back this week to kind of get a little consistency going finally here. Um, if you want to see that consistency, you can also see it on social media where we've been pretty good. That's Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube now. YouTube has become more important at HHN365 and our TikTok at HHN365pod. We also have an awesome Discord server. That link will be in the description if you'd like to join. We're chatting all things HHN, speculation, rumors, all the good stuff. You can check out our merch at hhn365.com. We'll talk about why that's important soon. And leave us voicemails. You can join us here on the show at 407 906 4134. And on today's show, we do have some news to catch up on. But our main segment is going to be a pretty fun one for us. And we're going to make our list of top 10 originals that deserve a sequel. So,
Yeah.
good stuff. Tough list to come up with. But I think I like what I got.
Yeah, and I'm still making my list as we go along, but we'll figure that out as
You'll
we
you'll
get
you'll
to
get there. You'll get there. Before we get into anything else, we do have some 365 news to cover. As I mentioned, YouTube has become more important now because we just did our first YouTube live. It was from the day we're recording a week ago. We were so impressed by the turnout and engagement we got for our very first YouTube live, and we can't thank you enough. It's so humbling to have that experience, and to be able to chat HHN, especially in a live fashion with all of you. So we are going to be doing that as often as we can. We'll see how often that ends up being, but it was a lot of fun, and we're going to keep it going. So definitely subscribe to our YouTube, and you can follow when we're going to go live. We also had a Discord exclusive event, and at this point, we've actually had two. So we did
Yeah.
have one we announced on our social media channels, but then we also just had one last night where Jonathan literally just went in and said, "Hey guys, you want to do something tonight?" So we
Literally.
only told the Discord. So there's perks of being in the Discord. Is we're gonna do some things that just Discord's gonna know about.
Yeah, there'll be some things that aren't promoted to Twitter or Instagram that we just the day of. We're like, hey, we want to go on the voice chat, talk with you guys, and that's exactly what we did. There was some news that came out that day that we'll discuss later in today's episode as well. That we're like, we're recording tomorrow. We have time to talk about it today, so let's just do that. So that is absolutely one of the perks of being in the Discord. You get those special exclusive events that we don't necessarily promote anywhere else.
Yep, definitely. And then also the most fun thing for us, I think. Well, no, it's not. That's a lie. The lives are the most fun. But a very cool thing we did still. We dropped new shirts. It's just one shirt design. It's a truly eye-catching Oddfellow design from at Lenabade Draws on Twitter. Very talented artist. We worked with them and they put out a fucking phenomenal T-shirt design for us. Um, we're gonna have a standard print that comes on black, and then we are also going to have a special release UV reflective tie-dye shirt. So we're printing it on white, and it's going to be dyed with a UV green and black, and it looks really fucking cool. I love that shirt. If you do want to get that special release one, it's not going to be around forever, hence special release. You have until May 24th. The end of the day on May 24th, we will close pre-orders for that shirt, and there's a possibility we will never bring it back again. So just make sure you hop on that while you have the opportunity for these next about 2 weeks from when you can listen to this. The standard black print will be around as long as we want to keep it around, so probably a couple of years, I'd say. So don't worry about that. But that special release, go grab it if you want it. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of it for the 365 news. So let's move on to the real news. We did talk about previously that Spooky Empire had announced that there will be a Halloween Horror Nights panel once again. That's going to be actually this coming Friday, the
Mhm.
17th. So if you want to go check that out, definitely do. Always a fun time. But we did get the lineup of who will be part of this panel. So let me just go down the list real quick for you. We have Dan Shaw, who's the assistant director of entertainment production. Nicolette Zinger, the producer of entertainment production. Kelsey Ambrose, the production manager of entertainment production. Ramon Peridoa, show director, creative development. Melissa Kilpatrick, scenic field producer. Nick Collins is the senior scenic designer. Wendy Finneck is the lighting designer. And Patty Braswell is the senior manager, technical entertainment, projects and lighting slash show control. So a pretty large panel we got going on from many different disciplines that come together to create HHN. So this sounds like it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll get some more detailed of how this event really comes to life.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like that's what this panel is going to be aiming towards. The behind the scenes, how things are done, some of the intricacies of it all. And I mean, that sounds awesome. That's something that I know we would love to, watch and hear and just experience. Cause I mean, we're nerds, that this is what we do. I'm sure everyone listening to the podcast, they would love to be in the room as this is happening as well. Cause it sounds really cool.
Yeah, we are. I don't know if we're fully decided if any of us are going to make it yet. It's possible we do. It's possible we don't. We'll see. But if you are thinking about it, definitely try to make it happen because it's a lot of fun. Just make sure you show up early. They get really long lines very early in the day for these HHM panels.
Yeah, and, from my experience last time, if you, like, are waiting in line and you want, like, your other party, like, to, wait for you and then they come meet you in line, usually, at least Spooky Empire's in the same place this year, right? I
Yes.
think it is. Yeah,
Yeah, it
usually they
is.
don't let you do that, so I would recommend just going with your whole party in line and getting in line and not trying to split up like that because they were very strict, especially with the HHN panel in particular.
Mhm.
But
Well, do
yeah,
you want to move on to HHN Hollywood news?
I do. And I'm very sad Jess isn't here because
Damn.
yeah, this is her section right here. But we are finally going to get into Murdy Tweeds. I'm not doing the full song. I can't do it.
No,
But
it's okay. It'd be disrespectful if we tried.
it really would. To the listeners' ears mostly. um, but if you guys don't know, John Murdy is the creative director of HHN Hollywood, and he sometimes gives hints and news and other stuff related to the HHN Hollywood event. And this is a actually pretty cool tweet he gave out, and it basically says there is one particular scare zone we're working on this year that is totally nuts, or totally wacko, gonzo nuts. It's a concept we wanted to do for years. It's nutty, but the costume designs and masks are so crazy cool. And the scare zone doesn't have a Z in the title yet. And a little bit more detail is that he said it will be on the upper lot and it's not especially gory. This is fun. What do you think of this stuff?
I don't know. I don't trust it to be anything gonzo, nuts, wacko, nutty, whatever. I don't.
You think it'll be
It's a At the end of
yeah.
the day, it's a scare zone in Hollywood. Until I see something like that exist, I'm not buying it.
I agree. However, I don't think I've seen him actually hype a scare zone before. Like it might have happened, but I don't know. I don't remember it. I don't remember him usually talking about the scare zones. Like he's given details about him before, but I've never heard him go
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, I'm excited for a scare zone this year." Because let's be honest, I don't think he's ever really excited for the scare zones. But
Wow, we have a lot in common then.
yeah. So this gives me a little bit of hope that it might be uh below average but not like bad. So I guess that's my
Uh,
maybe it'll be like
if
fine.
it is just a standard fine, slightly below average, I'll take it.
Yeah, especially for HHN Hollywood. That's a win
Yeah.
for
Oh
for
yeah.
the scare zones. Do you want to hit the
Uh,
next one, Duff?
yeah, of course. Murdy has confirmed that the Ube House location will have a different layout this year, um, which makes a ton of sense because I think in this off season they've kind of cleared more of that space out, right?
Mm-hmm. It's more of
So,
a very open
like,
area now.
yeah, it's become like a black box venue rather than kind of still working around some of the remnants from the Walking Dead attraction. So it makes a lot of sense, and I always thought the entrance kind of sucked because it was right at the like start of the bottleneck for the Parisian courtyard
Mhm.
queues. So it always kind of sucked being right there. So I hope the entrance comes further out. That would help a lot.
I have hope, especially the spec map that HHN Nightmares put out for Hollywood had Quiet Place in the UBE venue. If they have any like actual insane IP in there that's going to get a lot of traction, one of the headliners, they need to change that entrance
Hmm.
because if we're
Definitely.
thinking about how weird that line was for something like Evil Dead Rise or Horror Hotel, especially, imagine how long it would be if there was an actual like hyped IP in there.
Oh, it'd be terrible.
Oh
Terrible.
yeah,
So hearing this gives me a lot of hope that the entrance will be moved because that was the biggest issue by far.
yeah, I completely agree. But on our next point, this one is more of like HHN fans sort of sleuthing. It isn't John Murdy making a direct HHN anything, but it's still kind of funny because if you guys have been following our episodes for a while and our Murdy tweet segments in particular, John Murdy this season, I don't know why, but he keeps talking about Alice in Wonderland. Like he keeps talking about it. He won't stop talking about it. And just recently he made two tweets talking about how his family is now did an Alice in Wonderland escape room, which once again on the surface it's just like, oh, he could just be talking about an escape room he's doing with his family, and like, it doesn't really matter. But compiling all of the weird tweets that he have done in the past about Alice in Wonderland, it makes you think, why is this all building up? It could amount to, once again, absolutely nothing. But I think it was interesting to point out because we've had the Alice in Wonderland theme of his tweets for a while now.
Hmm. Yeah, it seems kind of purposely done, right?
Yeah, because he doesn't need to, like, obviously it's not like an HHN account. He doesn't need to just tweet about HHN, but it feels
No.
like, why would you just? I mean, you could just tweet about that, but why?
Regardless, it is John Murdy. So the whole Alice in Wonderland thing could mean something, but it could be something so minuscule that it's not even something we could pick up as a hint to what it could be. At the end of the day, it's John Murdy, and he does like to have fun.
He also mentioned he was very bad at Mario Kart, so just in case anyone
Oh
was
wow,
wondering.
shocker! Who would have thought?
You know what my
The
theory
man who
is?
hates video games, who refuses to play them, actually.
Yeah, he made it. I think he made another tweet I didn't throw in there. He's like, "Man, Last of Us was hard because I had to watch hours of walkthrough videos of Last of Us." I'm like, "You could have just played the game, John," but okay.
All right.
But
Well, look. Oh, any last things about John?
and I was gonna say something. Oh yes, I had a theory about why he might be talking about Alice in Wonderland over and over again. Like,
Hmm.
and my weird theory, and I just want to put it out there. I don't think it's actually real. What if Alice in Wonderland is just like the theme for the Terror Tram? Like, because I remember he gave blatant hints to, like, last year. The ones he gave blatant hints to was bug exterminators. Like one tweet, he literally just posted a bug zapper, like a picture of a
Yeah.
bug zapper,
Yeah.
and we were all like, "No, he's not doing that. Like, it's not that." And it just ended up being that. Like, it was very clear. Like, I don't know. This Alice in Wonderland feels like it actually could be a pretty cool idea for a terror tram because you are essentially going on the
Mm,
tram. So it's like the tram is the rabbit hole, and then you end up in
what?
Wonderland or whatever, and you have like characters and stuff go on in there.
I
Like,
mean, yeah,
it doesn't
I
need, it's
guess.
just a weird theory. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just like a weird thought that popped up in my head.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, regardless.
You're welcome. I know you were dying to know.
Yeah, you have no idea. It keeps me up at night. What's Jonathan thinking? All right, let's move on from John Murdy, but stick in Hollywood, where it's been announced that they will also be having a panel at Midsummer Scream. It'll be on Sunday, July 28th. Also, a very common thing. Um, and John Murdy, if he is anything, he's fucking great on stage and a great presenter. And it's like something I definitely just sit down and stream and watch and have a great fucking time with. If you don't remember or didn't experience it last year, he spent an insane amount of time going over so much detail of Monstrous, and what an experience that was to be
It
just to
was
watch that live and his presence, how he handles it. That's something that John Murray is absolutely phenomenal at, and it's very entertaining. So if you have a chance to go see it in person, please do. I assume they'll be streaming it as usual. So if you can't make it out there, that should be an option for you as well, and we recommend watching it.
absolutely. That was the one like huge. I think that was the biggest surprise of the season. Watching that panel because we were all like, "Oh, it's La Lechuza, like that's the house, that's what it's
Yeah.
gonna be." And then all of a sudden, it's like there's actually like three monsters. We're like, "Whoa!" Like we were all shocked. That was
hmm
wild.
Oh yeah, I guess I only really brought up how he discussed it. It was announced there, by the way.
Hmm.
They announced Monstrose and then broke it down in deep detail. Not spoiler level detail, but giving you all the backstory of these legends, um, and the designs. It was such a good time.
Completely agree. And I guess it's safe to say that on July 28th, I guess expect a Hollywood exclusive announcement.
Yeah, probably that
Yeah, they've been
happens.
doing that pretty consistently now at Midsummer Scream. But yeah, let's get to I guess the biggest piece of Hollywood news, or at least the one that got the most traction on social media, right? But basically, Universal Studios Hollywood held an event for the U.S. Travel Association's IPW recently, and during this event, and it kind of popped up in the park before the event happened, so like that's how it kind of got traction. They put out a photo op that was promoting Halloween Horror Nights. It had HHN 2024 on the photo op, and it held a lot of generic props such as skeletons and gargoyles and spider webs and stuff like that. Um, and before we get to the thing that probably has implications for Orlando, do you want to talk about that prop for a second? Because I think social media was kind of going crazy looking at it.
Yeah, I would prefer to keep it short because it doesn't deserve too much attention. Um, It doesn't look good. It looks cheap. It looks like they went to Party City and put stuff on a stage, just slapped it on, because that's probably kind of what they did. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to complain about it. It's this random little stage to simply promote everything that the park does. It's not a big deal if it doesn't look good, um, but it didn't look good.
No. To be honest, it wasn't such a surprise. I don't think like my brain comprehended that it didn't look good because it's just like, oh, that's an HHN Hollywood scare zone prop. Like
I
it's
mean, yeah.
just it's what
Well, that's how I comprehended it. I was like, oh, it's their scare zone quality. Bad.
but yeah, we'll move on from that section because here's the really cool part, right? Next to the HHN logo, because on the top of it, they had a little HHN logo, Halloween Horror Nights, and then next to it had the words in big bold letters. I think it was even bigger than the logo itself. Technically, it
Yeah, it
said
was.
"Where Horror Lives" in big bold letters, and if you guys don't know, that was also on the merchandise that we got here in Orlando when the tickets were released. Some of
Mhm.
the tickets and the dates. And at this point, I know there's been a bit of a discussion about like what is the tagline? Is it fear cannot be contained? Is it where horror lives? Um
Is it something
with
else?
it is it something else, right? um but what do we think about this being on that prop in Hollywood? Do we think where horror lives is the tagline for this year?
I mean, I think it. I don't want to say this confirms anything, but it makes it seem likely, right? Because one, it's a completely different like font and take on the Where Horror Lives, which would um, make sense. They're not gonna just keep this. I'm actually wearing it right now. This very uniquely stylized for HHN Where Horror Lives they got going on. That wasn't going to be used for everything event wise. So now we've seen a
Mhm.
completely different aesthetic of Where Horror Lives. So they've at least created multiple aesthetics for Where Horror Lives. Whether this was a one off for this thing, we can't confirm that. But I would say it adds weight to that being the actual tagline that the coast will split.
I completely agree. I think it's definitely the catchy one, like
Oh,
never
it's so
go
much
alone.
better.
Yeah, it's so much better than that. So much better. It's would be a huge improvement over Never Go. I think Never Go Alone is dead at this point. But it's obviously a huge improvement if it does replace it as like the tagline. So because of the shortness and the catchiness and the fact that it's on this prop, I do think it's definitely more likely that it's the tagline. But I also want to point out that at this event there was also a sign saying like, "Oh, we're getting ready for Halloween. Like this is we're promoting Halloween Horror Nights that are happening on these days. Blah blah blah." Then it also says fear cannot be contained on that sign. So it's still like, all right, fear cannot be contained is still there on another sign. It's not like big bold letters like where horror lives. So it's just I
Mhm.
don't know yet. It's still up in the air, but I think this does give it some weight.
Definitely. So, what do you say we hop on over to Florida now? Uh, but before we talk about HHN Orlando, there is a bit of Universal Studios Florida news that covers one of the subjects that we focus on that's not directly HHN related, and that is going to be tribute stores. Because guess what? You can now become part of this year's summer tribute store. For a price, you can be on a VHS cover that will be featured in the tribute store. So think in the past about how, they've had the pictures and frames, and then they've moved on to things and they put you on like a bottle, kind of stretching what it can be on. Now on a VHS cover. That's fucking cool.
Mhm.
So you can actually choose from several movies. There's some fun ones. So you have Danger Road 2. You have a one that is title pending, so basically just blocked off where the name would be. The art has a ghost, TVs, and a clock. There's another film called Trip and Fall, and then our favorite, of course, is Curated Terror Volume 6, Midnight Screaming, directed by the curator, and you'll never guess who's on it. The curator from the tribute store in HHN last year.
I love that detail so much. That's
It's so
so
fun.
fun.
It has that cool little like horror sticker slightly peeling off that you would have seen back in the day on VHSs when you were at a rental store. Um, they were really cool. I like the aesthetic they got going on the A-frame sign. They have this really the VHS mascot they have, who's I forgot what he says, but he's just like not happy to be there
he's
at
he's
all.
he's really upset. Like he does not want to be on that poster. He doesn't want to be working.
No,
Um, he
they.
is. I
I
love him
think
to be honest.
on something he says like please rewind or get fined or
Hmm.
something like that. It's hilarious. um, but anyways, this is going to come with more than just getting your face up in the tribute store and then getting to keep the VHS box afterwards. You're also going to get a pair of socks that has this VHS mascot all over it. And I think that's actually where he has that funny comment I mentioned. And you'll also get a custom membership card. So very, very going into like the video rental store aesthetic, and in a very um, deprecating way, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what this actually looks like. You can go get that now if you'd like at Five and Dime in Universal Studios or at the All Hallows Eve boutique in Islands of Adventure.
Hell yeah. This is great. I mean, I like the trend they're doing when you do purchase these extra things for the tribute store and put your face in the tribute store or whatever, you get something else with it, which is cool. It's not just oh your face and then you get to keep that. Because last what was it? Last year if you did it, you got the comic, right? Like in addition
Yes. Yep.
to yeah, which is incredible. Like they also sold those comics separately too, but like that is I think that's an incredible thing to add on to that. And here you get
Mhm.
socks and a VHS tape mask and a custom membership card. Like that's really immersive. That's really fun, and it's gonna probably make more people want to do these.
Yeah, I think so. It's still something I haven't done. I think they're so much fun. I don't know. I haven't done it yet for whatever reason, but this one sounds really cool. I don't know. I'm actually gonna consider this one.
Ooh, okay. What would you do the curator one?
Oh, of course. Have to. Have to.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Well, are we ready to move on to HHN Orlando news now?
Of course. Always.
Let's do it. And there is a lot of news, like actual news, not just like speculation and stuff. And the first thing is HHN teasers. And basically, Universal Orlando on their Halloween Horror Nights social media accounts, which includes like YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, basically all their social media platforms, teased two things. And we'll talk about the first thing first. The first teaser was a picture slash video, depending on what platform it was posted on, of the door that was seen in the ticket announcement video. If you guys remember that, it showed like a door that was that had like an X on it. You couldn't go through it. You're wondering what's behind that door. It was the same one, and the picture or video had the caption. I'm gonna read this exactly how it's written.
Oh, I'm excited to hear how you read this.
They don't want you to know there's something underneath the for 33, 33, 33.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that
that's
was pretty good. That was
exactly.
pretty good.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, and I guess we have to go over the second one too, because they're both very much connected. Um, and the second teaser, which was the next day, was a video that was first sent out to some blogs and other influencers, but then was posted later on all their social media accounts later in the day. And it was a video of someone sending a message from their phone, like they were taking a video recording of themselves on their phone, while they were beneath Universal Studios. And it basically said, uh, uh, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to make this quick. I followed those sounds, and I think I'm below Universal. Now, if I saw what I think I saw, and then you hear someone in the background going like, "Hey, what are you doing down here?" Or whatever, something similar to that. And then she continues, "Then no one's safe, and it's too late." And then the video ends. So
Bum bum bum.
exactly. That was perfect. I love that. What are you thinking, Duff? Do you thinking this means anything? Are you thinking we might get an announcement soon? What do you think this means?
Listen, they are putting a little bit more into it than they did last year for those teasers, right? Just a tad.
Just a
Um,
tad.
I don't know. Actually, it's pretty similar. Anyways, it kind of gives you hope that this is actually going to build to some connected story for the announcements, and I, just from what we've seen, specifically like last year, I don't think so. I really think this is just kind of a separate marketing, and then when we get the announcements, they're going to be something completely different, and we're going to get this one-off thing that's equal to last year's. Like the legend is HHN.
Right.
Like that's it. That at the end of the day, yeah, they were building up to this thing, the legend, and it was just HHN all along. And that was it. Done. They dropped it.
Yeah,
Moving
I
on.
mean, I hate to be so pessimistic because there's so many people that are coming up with fun theories on this, because I mean, there is the thought of like, hey, underneath Universal Studios, in 30 that was a prison that Jack was running, torturing people, with IPs and stuff like that. And spider that definitely wasn't from Billie Eilish. It was just a normal spider. Don't worry about that spider. But that's what it was. And so people are like, oh, could this be Jack or Eddie or someone else running the prison? And I think all those theories are really cool, but I completely agree with you, Duff. After last year, because last year I did have some hope, I don't have hope anymore. I don't think they actually mean anything at the end of the day. They could be like a fun through line for announcements, but that's probably it. I don't think it's hinting towards an icon. Not saying we're not getting one, just I don't think these are hinting towards anything besides it's just what they're going to use to announce the houses this year, and
Hmm.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
But we could be wrong,
unfortunately. I
you
hope I'm
know.
wrong. I hope both of us are
Yeah.
wrong because it's a lot more fun if it's actually meaningful. So we'll see. I won't hold out hope, but if it happens, I'll be very excited.
Yeah, completely agree.
Well, how about we
But
move
we have
on to some audition news?
yes, let's do it.
So, some specific auditions have dropped for HHN Orlando. Uh, First, we have for dancers for HHN with a height range of 5'4" to 5'10", stating you should be strong in the styles of jazz and modern. And then also a separate posting, dancers for an HHN stage show, saying you should be strong in the styles of hip hop and or jazz. So the stage show, gotta assume that's gonna be for Nightmare Fuel, right?
Mhm. I don't
So we don't need to
remember like
discuss that one too much, right?
yeah, I don't have the I know like we saw the audition thing last year, and I don't remember exactly, but I think it did say like hip hop or jazz on that one too. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
I
pretty
really
sure.
think it's just Nightmare Fuel.
However, the other one is a little more interesting. That height range is kind of interesting in the first place because 5'4" to 5'10" is a pretty large range, but also kind of specific at the same time.
Hmm.
So I'm curious what it's for that reason. Uh, 5'10", way too tall for Megan's at that point,
Yep.
so it can't be that. And then just there's no consistent thing in that height range, so it's a mix of something.
Yeah. It kind of just feels like a lot of, I don't know. Like, I don't think they're looking for to portray if it's like a bunch like I'm thinking like the Megan style, right? So like roaming or like just a lot of dancers. So
Hmm.
it feels like the range is similar but not the same. They're not looking for like a super tight range because they want it to be more, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just like a lot of dancers. Like they don't have
Hmm.
to all be the same, They don't have to all be like
Yeah,
Megan or whatever.
but at that point, why even put heights?
I don't
You put heights
know.
for a reason. There's a reason there are heights. Like, why is
There
someone
is a
who's
reason.
5'3" not in that height range, or why is someone who's 5'11", not gonna work when you're just
I
looking for people who can dance? I mean, there's got
It's
to be some
very
reason.
strange. You're absolutely right. I am not smart enough to know what that reason is.
Yeah,
At
neither
least
am
right
I.
now.
So,
And
we'll
strong
find
in the
out
styles of
at
jazz
some
and
point.
modern. We absolutely will.
Well, let's
Absolutely.
move on to something that we definitely know of, something that's new. Thanks to Alex, our Discord mod. He found the permits for the two new sprung tents that were just put up, so Tent 3 and Tent 4. And just like the other 8, they also have code names on them. So
Yes.
Tent 3 is Donuts, Tent 4 is Sunday.
There's a lot to discuss here. I kind of want to go straight to tent 4 cuz I have
Oh,
more
do you?
ideas for tent.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know, right?
I wonder why.
I wonder. So to give some, I guess, backstory to my thought process, because right now on the current spec map, it's not there. But Alicia Stella seems to be pushing weekend pretty heavily, like not just weekend zone, but weekend house. She
Very
seems to
heavily.
be pushing it, yeah, like pretty heavily now. And in addition to that, we also have weekend on the HHN Hollywood spec map from Horror Night Nightmares as well. So my thought process becomes, all right, you have Sunday, right? Just an ice cream sundae, but that word is very similar to Sunday, the day of the weekend, like one of the days of the weekend, and then that would obviously tie to the weekend. And
Hmm.
that's my fun theory for Sunday.
I I think it actually makes a ton of sense. And, I think right now Alicia Stella might be the most accurate insider we have,
I
potentially.
think so.
So how much she's putting her foot down on a weekend house coming to the event, um, I don't know. Feels like it's very, very possible at this point. And your theory makes a ton of sense in kind of a way that they do it. Like, that's how they usually make these code names. It's not going to be something actually relating to an ice cream sundae necessarily, but you
Hmm.
kind of have to look at it from a different angle. And that's what you did, and it makes sense and it works.
Yeah, I mean, I want this to happen. I don't know. I think right now, because I know there's like a battle between like a funny friendly battle. It's not actually a battle. But I know Legacy has straight up said he does not think the weekend is coming in any way, shape, or form. That means no zone, no house, nothing. And then
No
Alicia is
weekend bar.
obviously exactly no weekend bar, like no presence at all. And Alicia has said the opposite. First, it was rumored to be a zone, and now she thinks it might be a house. But either way, something weekend is definitely on Alicia's side. So there's like that weird, fun, little friendly battle there. And I think I don't. This sounds weird to say, but I'm on like Team Alicia. I really do think. I think it's possible.
Do you think or you hope?
Uh, I don't know with how confident she is, because Alicia Stella, you know, doesn't is not usually in the HHN rumor game, right? Like usually
No,
she talks
that's
more
a
about.
newer step for Alicia for sure.
Exactly. She usually talks about the parks. So when she is hopping now into the HHN rumor game and really pushing for something, that tells me that she has a lot of faith in what she is thinking. A lot of faith. And I don't think she would be pushing it this hard or talking about it this much if she didn't have like evidence or really good ideas that this is is coming. I don't think she'd be pushing it if it was just a maybe type thing. Not saying that she's 100% right and whatever, because all insiders have things that aren't exactly right and whatnot, but I don't think you push something this hard if you didn't have a good idea that it was coming.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And the code name makes sense, so I'm sticking with
It
that.
does.
So I'll say I'm thinking and hoping. I can do both. I can absolutely do both.
Well, do you have any fun ideas for what donuts could mean?
I don't. I know Alex Armad did for donuts, and it actually was probably the best theory that. I mean, I've heard that like I could not have come up with it. Is that donuts are ring shaped? So it could be like the rings of brides. So potentially that could relate to the rumored Universal Monsters house that's rumored to have a lot of female monsters. So like
Hmm.
Bride of Frankenstein, maybe Brides of Dracula, stuff like that. So maybe that could be a relation. I know others made theories as well. I don't remember them on top of my head, but I did really like that theory.
That is fun, and I have nothing for this except turning donut into do not, and make it be some crazy wonky thing that way. But uh, those are kind of more just jokey guesses. I have nothing legit, so I'll roll with that. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And I'm so happy we finally got these permits. That means all the code names are done. We got them all. That's all
Hmm.
10.
Yep,
We are super close now.
completed.
All right, Duff. Actually, I can take this one because this one is interesting. Legacy. And we're gonna go back to insider news, right? We're moving away from news and we're going into rumors and speculation. Insider Legacy has gone back on his two icon idea. If you remember on the last episode, we mentioned that he thought there was going to be two icons, one returning, one new, and that was his thought. Now he's gone back on it, said, listen, my fault, and said that the rumors were likely misconstrued speculation. And adding on to that, he still thinks we are getting an icon, just not two, but an icon, and that the icon won't be major sweets.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that, Duff?
Hmm. I mean, I'm okay with it. Again, I think Sweets is a fine potential icon, but I wouldn't be like super hype at the idea.
I'd be hyped for the meme because just him going around, making Wario
Wah,
noises.
wah,
Wah!
it's me. Eat my candy. Wah.
I love it. Like if he showed if that was how I entered the event every night, just him making those sounds and saying "Buy
Can
my candy," I would have a good time. I would like that.
Can you imagine the opening ceremony? He's just up top. He starts with wah, yes, wah. Oh
And
god,
everyone's
it's so
looking
good.
at him like
I got too
all
into it.
all all the guests that aren't familiar with Halloween horror is looking at him like, what the fuck? Where you ready for a quiet place? Where?
Why the fuck is Wario here?
But yeah, I wonder. I guess it'd just be. I, I don't know. Do you think it'd be an old icon or just a completely new character if we get if we get one, obviously.
I mean, if I had to guess, I've thought the whole time we're still just gonna get a new icon. I think that this team is looking to create new icons, if not some old smaller character that they can now make an icon kind of deal, but not necessarily an
Mhm.
existing icon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know a lot of people have still been speculating the Usher because of the popcorn symbol on the HN and map,
Mm,
which I think is really fair speculation. Absolutely.
yeah,
I agree. I do think it's gonna be a new one, either one that we've sort of kind of seen before in a lesser capacity and not an icon, or just a completely new character. I think that might be the route they're going. But I wouldn't be mad if they did an old one if they wanted to like expand upon them, give them more to do and stuff like that too.
yeah,
So
for
I'd
sure.
be fine with either way.
I'd prefer new, but I'm not gonna be upset about a returning icon.
Absolutely.
Well, do we have any more news, rumors, speculation, anything like that?
I think we're good as of the time we're recording. Maybe by the time we release it, there'll be a different story. But right now, we're all
Another
good.
fucking spec map.
Oh my god, then we'll have to. We'd have to come back in part two of the episode.
Yeah, right. Um, but for now, we don't. So we're going to move on to our main segment where me and Jonathan have created our top. How many do you have, Jonathan?
Let's see. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I got nine. We're
Our
almost
top
there.
nine originals that deserve a sequel.
Yeah, we're gonna do nine. Let's do it.
I have 10, but that's fine.
You could.
Um,
Do you want to just say you're 10 now to have like a
I'm going to be honest. The ranking is almost useless for the most part. I'm going to try to make it
same.
make sense for why I have things where they are. But just to tell you now, the ranking almost doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to start with one that it was an original house that I did not experience myself. So I think it's a good reason to put it lower, right? So
Hmm.
number 10 is HHN 15's Demon Cantina, which sounds like
Ooh.
kind of a ridiculous choice, but I think you could have a fun concept where Demon Cantina has kind of been gentrified, if you will, like many places are in our real world. So it's kind of this very modern bar or club, you know? So it's gone from dirty biker bar um, to nice, clean, modern aesthetics, you know, very different from what it was before. But still being used to for the opportunity to drink some blood of some of the people who show up there. So I think kind of same premise, but they've kind of innovated in a way to get people to show up.
I really like that. I would love to go through that. That sounds really fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't
I
think I've
know.
ever. Is there any videos of Demon Cantina from 15?
I think you can get very slight views, but like there's almost nothing that you can see anything.
I'm gonna try to find some stuff because I that does sound fun, and
Yeah,
I kind of want to look back at the original.
it wasn't the most well regarded house by any means, but um, I think it's a concept that's a lot of fun, and I think this kind of it would be a cool way for them to revive it.
Hell yeah, I love that idea. So my number nine on my list, we're gonna pretend 10 doesn't exist. Maybe I should just do the funny one and get that out of the way, but I think it is like very me. Um, yeah, this is the funny one. So it's not extremely serious, but also I wouldn't be mad if they did this Hellblock horror sequel. But hear me out. They actually have time to make it a house. They have time to actually flesh it out because I think the idea itself is really cool. Like the idea of this is a multi-dimensional prison where these guards like get creatures from all of HHN's past and throw them in cells and have to watch them and things go wrong or whatever. Like I think that's a great concept. Unfortunately, it was a, oops, we ran out of time, an IP pulled out type of concept, and it wasn't very fleshed out at all, and it just kind of seemed like a normal prison with a couple of details of like how it could be an interdimensional one, and didn't have a lot of time put into it just because of the
Mhm.
circumstances. I think you can make this great. I think it's a great idea, of having
Yeah,
all these characters together in one setting. But like, but more flesh it out. Like maybe the cells have specific things to their characters. Maybe you go into other areas of the prison that aren't just the cells and hallways. There's so many other areas of a prison that we didn't really experience. I want to see how they travel interdimensionally through, to get these creatures. What if we go through a portal and we're out of the prison for a second because like we got pushed out, and we're out of the portal and the monsters escape loose on this a town or something, Like there has to be a way to get to and from the prison because it's an interdimensional thing. Um I think you could make this actually a really fun idea if you had the time. And
Hmm.
put two H's on the facade
Oh my
and it
god.
doesn't matter what it is. I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'd be down. I definitely have an example on this list of something that I didn't like that I think is a cool concept and could be done better. So we'll get to that soon. But I definitely agree with that being a good reason. Like, if you have a cool concept that didn't necessarily work out, why not give it a second shot?
Hell yeah.
For my number nine, just to get these out of the way, I'm also going to go with the other one on my list that I did not experience. And also, it's a very similar way I want to revive it to Demon Cantina, and that is HHN 7's Hotel Hell. So
Ooh.
basically, the premise of that house was that there was this very upscale, very nice hotel. And then basically, by the time you're going in it, it's to the point where it's now this rundown, trashy, you know, paranormal monsters shit inside kind of deal, right? Um,
Mhm.
so why I say it's similar to Demon Canteen is the way I'd like to see that revived is it's now been restored to its former glory, um, but you can't hide the skeletons that are inside. So you get
Ooh.
that hotel hell experience, but in this nice modern version. But as you'll see in many houses, you start to dig deeper and go further, and it's not nice anymore. You've peeled back the wallpaper and you've stepped backstage, and it is a very different place. So I think that would be a cool contrast of settings. And I just think that's a cool concept in general to step into a hotel and kind of, I don't know, it's just such a real world thing and a thing a lot of us have experienced, worked in, stuff like that. And I think
Mhm.
any chance people can relate, it's a lot of fun.
I love that idea. It's sort of similar, not exactly because it was kind of another weird, they went a different angle with it, kind of Universal Horror Hotel in Hollywood, where it's like
Yeah,
terrible
sort
things
of.
happened here.
Yeah,
Anyways,
sort
we're
of.
open.
Basically.
And I love that concept there, and I'd love to see an Orlando take on that, and to see exactly how many locations you go in, how detailed they can get with the layers peeling off, and you seeing beyond what they're just showing you. I think that would be beautiful. I'd love that.
Hmm.
All right, so my number 8 is something that I didn't experience, and I really want to. Like this one, I can't even. It's hard to think of, like what I like them to do for a sequel. I wouldn't even say necessarily a sequel. It could just be like an anthology type thing, but continuing it. Wyandotte Estate, Legendary Truth. That is one of the houses that
Mm,
I've watched like the walkthroughs for. They've actually that one you can get a pretty clear walkthrough of someone walking through the entire thing with the lights on. Like it's kind of really cool. But all the ghost effects they did and the way they made the house seem paranormal, and the scrim effects and the things below you, and they did so much to make you think that this was a legit haunted house, and I love that. And the fact that you can see the paranormal stuff, like all of the tools to search for the ghost, and the different technologies and stuff like that, like that's cool and fun, and I wanted to go through that so bad watching it. And I think you can take that same concept and just throw it in another location. Just doesn't have to be a house. It could be a hotel. It could be
yeah.
a
Yeah.
haunted whatever. It does
They
not just
opened
have.
Wyandotte Estate as a bed and breakfast now. Look at that.
That'd be funny. That would be really funny. Um, but yeah, you can just really do this concept in whatever location that you like, because there's a school that was haunted, like whatever, and it can
Hmm.
work. I just want to see what HHN can do really taking the haunted house concept, legit haunted house concept, to the highest potential they could. Because Hill House, sometimes I go back to this, but Hill House did not do that for me. It didn't really feel like this haunted house is actually haunted and things are, going crazy. I want to see what HHN can actually do, like, with that concept with an original, which I know they've done in the past, and it seems to have worked really well.
Nice. I like it. That's a good choice. I think that'd be cool.
Hell yeah. What do you got?
Um, so my number eight is going to be one of my two on this list that were not a house, but were instead a scare zone. And that's going to be HHN 27's Invasion. And to be completely honest, I don't think this needs to be a sequel in story necessarily. Obviously, you'll tell more story, but just kind of do what you did. Put in the scale of a house now rather than a scare zone. You can tell a lot more backstory. You can get a lot more out of it. I think the aesthetic was fun as hell. The characters were great. I think I would love to see this fully fleshed out as a house.
I mean, yes. I love that. The invasion characters. I remember that was I'm pretty sure that was rumored kind of in 31, like on a spec map,
Hmm.
like there was invasion
Yeah,
there.
definitely.
Um and when that was on there, I'm like, oh my god, this could be so cool. And I'd love to see them actually go through with that concept as a house, because I think that's my cup of tea. It's funny. They're a little goofy, they're a little silly,
Hmm.
but they're also not all the way goofy, and they still have that seriousness to them. And it can be scary. I think that would be a really fun concept that I'd like them to execute.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you got for your number seven?
Speaking of fun, let's go into the funny one of the funny houses on my list. By funny I mean good house, but it was a good comedy house. And that's HR Blood and Guts. Uh,
Ah,
I Yeah, I mean, this is one that I've heard so much about, so much raving. I know some people don't like it, but
Mike.
I Mike, exactly. Yeah. And like that's totally cool. I just, from what I've, from heard from a lot of people, that this was a very good house. And I've watched a lot of the pre-shows uh for this house in particular. There's not a lot of footage inside the house itself, but the pre-shows were my cup of tea. They looked funny, little twisted but funny and entertaining, and I want to see that. I want to see that come back. And they don't have to do holidays, so they could just do other holidays,
Mhm.
or just different aspects of the holidays. Like, I wouldn't be mad if they did that at all, especially with him. um but they can just do other concepts that are not like in my brain at the moment, but it's just a compilation. You could pick whatever.
Yeah,
And
at the end of the day, he's just a TV host. Give him a
exactly,
topic,
like,
basically.
it could be like TV genres, when you walk through different TV genres that he's like, hosting, or whatever. Um, and we were talking about it before, and I was just thinking about this because this would be perfect. Fast and Furious would kind of be a great location for this, because you have all the TVs in the queue area, and that projection right before you enter the house, that would kind of be perfect for something like this. Where the whole time you're waiting, he's showing you different videos and stuff about what you're going to experience when you get in the house, and you have that you have that pre-show video element to him that everyone can see, because those were a bunch of TVs in there.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be mad if they threw it in there. I'd be excited.
Yeah, no, that'd work. Actually, that'd be fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
Uh, I'll move on to my number seven, and I think it's something that you would truly appreciate, Jonathan. And
Hmm.
this is my contender for Bad House that I want to see done right, and that's HHN
Ooh.
29's Depths of Fear.
Yeah, let's go.
A house that I was so excited for and then so let down by. But I think a cool concept you could take for a sequel story would be a recovery mission. Now, of course, this is something where they've mined very precious resources. There's very expensive equipment down there. Um, so they're going down there to recover what is theirs. Basically, all the same shit ensues, and you kind of get to experience what happened before. They can give you a better experience, a slightly different feel. Like it could be more like large open ship rather than tight corridors. Um, there could be actual underwater fully segments. Um, there's so many ways you can do it.
Yeah. Now, here's a question. Would they be the same creature or like a different breed of creature?
I think you could just redesign Mouthbrewers a bit. It would not be the first time. They've done it with Nightingales. They've done it with Scalders. They will redesign characters, and you would have to for the costumes, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think redesign them to a costume that works. Honestly, make them look better. I didn't like the Mouthbrewer design in the first place, so
Mm-hmm.
um, make it a more serious take. A little
Oh,
less
you don't
camp,
want
a
them.
little more serious, a little darker. Kind of, I want it to feel more like Alien than like a comedic house.
Do you think there could be just like a little camp in there? I feel like there has to
I
be like
mean,
a
yeah, well,
tiny
you can
bit.
have some camp, of course, but I want it for the most part. I want the tone to be more serious.
That is so fair, and I would take that. Like, I love a Depths of Fear sequel. I would never imagine it would ever happen, but if it did, I would be over the moon excited for that. It is one of my favorite originals of all time. I think it ended up in S tier. Actually, I was doing a tier list. I'm like, that might just be S tier for me.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got a connection to it. And it just happens sometimes with houses.
Yeah,
You're just like,
no, it
I like
does.
this house, you know?
It really does
Um,
happen like that sometimes.
it really
Uh,
does.
but what do you have?
All right. This is the gimme, right? This is the easy one that it's no surprise that I want to see this. I want to like see a sequel. I want to see it happen. And it's one of the other ones that I have not experienced personally on Orlando's uh coast, Orlando's side, and that's Scarecrow. I want to see Scarecrow continue in some way. I think they set in a different place. It's like a similar story to Scarecrow, but not particularly the same setting because I don't know what else you could do with it. So maybe a different area or whatnot. But I would like to see Scarecrow just because I want to experience. I don't know if it would happen if they did a sequel because it seemed like a lightning in a bottle type thing, though there was a lot of great scare design as well. But I want to experience that terrifying haunted house that's made like its only purpose is, I mean, its purpose is to have sets and story, obviously, but its main purpose is to scare the shit out of you.
Hmm.
And that's something I want to experience on Orlando's side. I love Scarecrow in Hollywood. I'm actually very happy I got to see an iteration of it, even though it was not nearly as good as the Orlando version. I am happy I got to see some things executed in a similar way, like the bird room and stuff. So I am forever grateful, and I love that house in Hollywood. It's my number one in Hollywood,
Hmm.
probably of all time that I've experienced there. So I just want to see it. This is a very personal, just I didn't experience it, and I want to.
I mean, I think I could just say yes, I want to see it because this is something we've discussed on the podcast so much at this point, right?
Hmm.
Like you said, it's the obvious choice. It's one of those things. Can they strike again and find that magic? Who knows? But I want to see them try. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
What are we at? Number six.
I did 987. Yeah, so I'm on 6. Are you on 6?
I should be on six then. Yes.
There we go.
All right. So my number six. Again, the order doesn't really matter, so I don't know what I'm trying to decide. But I'll go with HHN 31's Descendants of Destruction. And this was inspired mainly by the last couple of rooms of the house. I want to see this well in the future, 100 plus years, whatever it takes. And basically, the world is entirely in those caverns with the bioluminescence and UV reactive lighting and like that's just the full world now. That's what existence is at this point. Everyone is just full on creatures. Humanity as we know it does not exist at all. Um, just a pure bioluminescence, just stroby monsters in your face, nonstop kind of house. I think that'd be a really fun way to take that story.
I want that so bad now. The way you describe that, that sounds so cool. Do you think cuz that's a did they ever confirm? I know it was like hinted at that Descendant Destruction is a prequel to Seeds, right? Or
No,
like
it's they
it's
call
not
it a cousin.
a cousin of
A
Seeds.
cousin. It's not a direct sequel, but they call it a cousin. So it's more like a spiritual thing more than
Oh,
any
so it's not
legit
like in the world
connection.
at all.
They never fully confirmed, but the fact that they're not willing to say that it is probably means no, that it's more just inspired by.
Damn, that makes sense. I will say if it was like in that scenario, I'd love to see like a plant versus human, like monster human war.
That'd be cool.
Just
That'd be
that'd be
cool.
fun. Like and then that ends up like here's how the plants took over the remaining parts of humanity. Like that. It didn't kill every human. We still had these, couple of humans that managed to get underground before the impact hit. So now there's like a war between plants and them. But I like your idea like a lot, and I would absolutely love that. Descendant of Destruction is one of my favorite original houses,
Hmm.
so I'd absolutely take it.
All right, what you got for number 5?
This is my last one on my list. That's something that I didn't love, but I think can be improved. And that is Revenge of the Tooth Fairy in
Okay.
HHN 30 and HHN Light. I think that a lot of the reasons why I didn't love that house came to the fact of the years that they were in. Unfortunately, there were things that blocked the scares, hurt the scares a lot. It just is what it is. It was the year that it was in, and I think without those things, it could be really improved and get scary and fulfill its purpose. It felt like its purpose was to be a scary house, not entirely, but was to have a lot of scares, and it didn't fulfill it. But I think you can do that again and have it be that scary house to fill that role and to make it different enough because I honestly wouldn't want them to do the storybook or like they could do the storybook element, but I wouldn't want them to do like you're just going through a house and they're killing the family members and then it's over. I'd want to actually go to like their lair or something. Like, I don't think every kid would turn into a tooth fairy like as they're killing, because what if the house only has like two people in it?
Hmm.
Like maybe it's not a big mansion. What if it's just like a little house and they kill the two people and then they go off and the kid hasn't turned into a tooth fairy yet? Taking them to the lair and watching them be turned and seeing what goes on in this lair. Have a lot of teeth. I don't think there was enough teeth in that house. I kind of want to see a lot of teeth, like teeth
Hmm.
horror. That's scary, disgusting, and something a tooth fairy house should be in my opinion. um, I think that'd be a cool way to go to continue the story, fulfill the purpose of the house, and really elevate these creatures. You can see different types of creatures. Maybe these were just like the lackeys that go and
Yeah,
do the
sure.
dirty work and do what's supposed. What if there's like a big, like a bigger tooth fairy, and then other, different.
See more of a
I don't know
variety of tooth fairies, basically.
exactly. I think they could do it if they did this scenario. I would be all for that, to be honest.
I'd be into it. Again, I think that's another example for sure of a house where like I think is a cool concept, but wasn't necessarily executed to its potential. So give it another shot. Do it.
Absolutely.
Uh,
What's your next
so
house?
my number 5. I'm not really gonna have a specific story for this because I think you can basically just kind of do it how it was done in the first place and keep moving. And that's HHN 19's Leave It to Cleaver. I just think it's a fun setting, it's a fun vibe, and it's a fucking phenomenal main character. Um, yeah, I really have nothing else to add to that. It's just one of those properties. Just do it again, basically. Just do it fucking again.
Well, actually, that is really funny because my next one,
Oh
I'll
no
just
way.
yeah, leave it to clear. There's one of mine too. Uh, it's the last one on this list that I haven't experienced. I tried to keep most of them to be ones that I experienced, but this one was I think the first one I put down. Because I mean, come on, like you said, fun house, very memorable. That one section I experienced in Scary personally was not only my favorite section of Scary, but I really liked it. I loved the
Mm-hmm.
vibe. I loved the
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere. I thought it was scary once it became, the scary mode, the scary part halfway through. It was disturbing, but also had a fun vibe in a way. It seems like my style, and this is another one of those houses that I wish I can go back in time and see. And I think they've been teasing it so much, like they've had Leave It to Clear the references lately in Horror Nights that I don't know. I think it could really work as a sequel. I think they could do a lot of fun with it. Even have the kid. I forgot what was the kid's name in the commercials. There was a little kid in it, right? Maybe have him become the new. owner of the shop, and then maybe that's
Oh,
where it continues.
okay. I like that. That's fun. So
Hell
basically,
yeah.
just keep the same shit going, but we're further along in the ownership of this establishment now.
Exactly. It's a
Yep,
family business.
that's fucking cool. I like that.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
All right, so I guess
Uh,
I'll move on to my number four, um, and I'm gonna go to HHN 26 and Tomb of the Ancients. And I think you can basically take this as like an Indiana Jones adventure style thing. Like, just move on to the next adventure. And I think something that would be really fun, that people would really enjoy, maybe slightly cheating, but combining it with something else where that person who's going on that adventure is Boris Schuster.
Ooh. That would be
Hmm.
cool. Have him be like an Indiana Jones character? That would be fun.
Yeah, basically. So much more, he's still doing his sleuthing thing, but in a much more yeah, Indiana Jones way, I guess, probably less physical than Indy would be, but kind of the setting and the end goal.
Well, god damn it,
Oh
Duff.
shit.
This is another one on my list.
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said everything I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to say. Not the Boris Schuster part, but that'd be fun. That would be really cool. But yeah, this is another one that I just want to experience a house with like a lot of booby traps. Like that's cool, you know? It could lead
Hmm.
to a lot of fun scares. Like, oh no, you stepped on a thing and now there's air blasts, they're arrows, but it's just air blasts. Or oh no, you stepped on something and now something's coming towards you, like that's fun as shit. That's so cool.
Hmm.
And I want to do that in a different place, a different, different atmosphere, but the same sort of idea. And I mean, you kind of just took all the words out of my mouth for this. I think it'd be really fun and something they definitely could do in the future.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised if they do Tomb of the Ancients again. Not at all. Um,
Absolutely. It was a very well received house.
mhm. So I guess that
Uh,
puts me to my number three already, and I'm gonna go back to HHN 22. And it might not be the HHN 22 original you would think of the two, which would be Gothic, I'd assume. I'm actually going to go with Dead End. So Dead End
ooh.
was basically a house that the end of it basically was that there was this story of ghosts inside, and then kids kept testing that theory and then went disappearing, and typical haunted house type deal. I think a cool sequel would basically be like, this has been going on forever now. Um, the kids are kind of the antagonist at this point that you will encounter in the house.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so spooky kids is spooky ghost kids, the scariest shit in the world. A house all about it.
I yes. I mean, you don't even need to say more. Like
I
yes.
don't have anything more to say. That's the that's all. That's as far
That,
as
that-
I made it. But I think again that is like legitimately the scariest shit to me, and part of what made graveyard games great is how they used the kids. Um, just imagine a whole fucking house, and that's all it is.
I would be all for that. That sounds like my jam. I still remember that day that I the first time I did graveyard games, and I was just with my dad, and I think it was me and him only that did it that night. And we are walking through and it's like, okay, it's good house, some good stuff, like it. And then it's like, whoa, what the fuck? And there's like a
Hmm.
bunch of kids. I'm like, whoa, how do we get here?
And it could also be like this emotional thing too, where like some of the kids are probably gonna be some punk asses who do nothing but try to kill you or mess with you, and then you have these kids who are so innocent and sad, and so you can get that kind of that added emotion into the house and added storytelling that way.
Yeah, whenever a house can implement emotion and connection to the characters, implement just feeling sad for them. I think that's what Darkest Deal did so well is that you're watching all this stuff happen to Pine Star and you're like, oh God, like you felt
Hmm.
so sad, until the, eventual, soul was collected. Um, and it works really well for a haunted house. Sadness in horror kind of work together. They work together.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
always have some sad
phenomenally
scenes
well.
in horror movies, usually
Yeah.
every time.
Well, what do you got for your number two?
Something that is not sad and in fact very silly actually. Um, I think, and I was this idea came from my friend Alex, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I think I might have changed it in my head a little bit. But regardless, I think Bugs Eaten Alive
Mm,
could work really well as a sequel. I think it could be fun as a sequel. Like, let's say the military came in at the end and was like, "Oh, we gotta shoot these bugs," boom, 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 but they didn't succeed. Like there's some bugs that got out and started, mating and multiplying and getting bigger. Maybe the roll there was a rollout for the exterminaires. They tried to fix it, but it didn't end up fixing it, and it is in every home and whatever. And I want them to throw Bugs Eaten Alive in a soundstage
mm,
as a
mm,
sequel, and I want them to go full on bugs. I think we got a taste of what bugs can do and how bugs can scare you in Bugs Eaten Alive, particularly the small ones. I want to go full on campy huge bugs now, like completely. I want to see a lot of the scares be bugs. I want to see bugs, 50-foot bugs. Not exactly that tall, obviously, but like a clownzilla sized bug at the end,
mm,
stuff like that. I
definitely.
want them to go full on with this concept more than they did in the house, and go completely funny with it and travel in different locations of like bugs invading a grocery store, bugs invading, a hospital or
Oh,
something,
just
just like going around a town
going
and
down this
ransacking it.
super like 50s suburban street. Like, that
Yeah,
sounds so fun.
it would be great. I think they could like I think this really people would buy into another Bugs Eaten Alive house. I think they'd want it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be down, and a lot of others would be like, no, fuck no, not again. Oh, God.
That is true.
All right, well, my
But
number two is
yeah.
going to be another scare zone, where once again, I am not really going to have a specific uh, story outside of just fucking do the scare zone, but now in a house and flesh it out more. And that's HHN 21's Acid Assault. I think
Oh,
if they can implement the crumbling buildings and those 4D effects even further than they already were in the scare zone and do that in a house, that aesthetically you're going to get something very special.
that I mean, that is one of the scare zones that I look back on. I'm like, God, I'd love to do that, with
Mm,
the projections especially and stuff. So they could make it really cool in a house format. They could go crazy with that.
yeah, and they can really kind of like stretch the characters even more than they did in the scare zone. Maybe more time has passed. And society has evolved further to endure this. Almost Descendants of Destruction like in a way. Um, but yeah, I think this is one of those scare zones that would be amazing as a house.
Absolutely. For sure. Huh. I think because I Yeah, I'm gonna take one of my off because I think I have a better idea because I didn't put scare zones in my head for like what these could be, but thinking about
Mm,
like scare zones that can make for a good house, I kind of think an arcade would be great as a house. Like turn it from just having a bunch of people like having chainsaws and like make it legit you're entering arcade games. Like Horror Nights take on arcade games and you're in the games themselves and things go wrong and it's scary and it's terrifying, they just use the lighting the way they want it to. They can control the lighting, control the sounds, make it, completely retro arcade games. I want to walk through them, and I
mm,
think they have a great aesthetic already going on in the zone. And if they can incorporate that into the house while also, of making the sets and effects, I think that could be really fun. I kind of really want that.
I mean, you'd have one of the most aesthetically pleasing houses of all time for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you do with story. I don't care. Again, that's one of those things where you get the aesthetic right, put some scares in there. Let's fucking let it ride and have some fun.
Absolutely. I think everyone would be down for that.
Yeah,
like
I think
an
most
arcade
people would for sure.
when people think of an arcade, they think of HHN 29. They're just tied intrinsically
Yeah, and when you
together.
think HHN 29, you probably think of An Arcade.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, I think it'd be great.
All right, well that
But
puts me at my number one, I guess.
Hell yeah.
And this one is going to basically be a mic drop. I will say nothing additional outside of I loved this property so much. I don't know how you tell the story further. I just want to go back to this place. That's all. Figure it out. And that's HHN 24's Dollhouse of the Damned.
Damn. That was on purpose. Oh, that was a good mic drop right there. I don't know where you take it either, but I kind of like you said, I kind of don't give a shit. Like,
No,
like
not at
y-
all. Not one bit. Yeah, I like how mic drops are usually like, you drop something, you say something big. Mine's more like I drop my mic because I literally have nothing to say. I'm not clever enough to come up with a story, so I'm just gonna get the mic away from me. I don't know what to say. Oh God.
it's hard to think about because like Dolls of Dam was just exclusively in this dollhouse. So it's
Yeah.
like, where do you
It really
go?
feels like you just do the same thing again, but differently.
I've never seen it at all. So like I take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
And
that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's definitely one of the houses I love to go back and, back in time and experience. It seems scary, seemed a little funny at times, but also very, very, very disturbing. So I would
Mhm.
absolutely love that. Hell
And I
yeah.
believe last year, Charles Gray, it was, said uh, when they were talking, I think they were asked about, like, what would you like to see come back that you've done before? And he name dropped Dollhouse of the Damned. So
Oh, we
it's
did.
possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Damn. Now you have me crossing my fingers for that to happen.
Hmm.
That's cool. I want that to happen.
Did you have one more?
I did. My number
All right.
one. This one's it's kind of funny how much we talked about Legendary Truth and Boris and in this top 9. But it's Leave It to Cleaver. No, what the no, I put Leave It
Nah?
to Cleaver at the top. Sorry. I looked at the different thing. It's not Leave It to Cleavers. It's Case Files Unearthed. Um
Okay.
that is the yeah, I listen, I had a long day. It's Case Files Unearthed. And I mean, that's because I love the aesthetic so much already. But I think they go in a different aesthetic. Obviously, I don't think you just go in the you know, the noir style because we kind of already did that, and we wouldn't have a need to go back into past journals anymore or past novels because we kind of moved on from that. I want to see what happens after Tim Foyle opened the box and all the creatures got loose, and he did the the ritual, and something happened, a portal opened, and then they all escaped. I want to see the continuation of that. Like, where do we go from there? Because that was like a big cliffhanger to me. It's like, oh shit, it was all leading up to this, and then it all went awry. Like, what happens after that is, like, where do we go? And I kind of really want to see that. I don't know where we go. There was a big devil thing at the end for some reason, and it was scary. I don't know. It'd be fun. I just want to walk through Universal again, in a house form and see what happens.
I mean, yeah, I think almost everyone's down for that, probably, right?
I think so. It was a very well received house.
Yeah, and there's so many stories you can tell. So many stories you can tell. We got our second Boris drop of the day. We both had him on our list in very different ways, but on our
Very
list
different
regardless,
ways.
because you can like literally do anything with him for the most part.
Mm-hmm. He's a
So
very
yeah,
amazing HHN character.
I am obviously fully on board with that idea.
Hell yeah. These were some great
Yeah,
lists.
yeah, that's it. I think that's our top 10/9. If you're Jonathan,
I
um,
think I put 10 actually because I added
oh,
the
you did. That's
anarchades.
right. You got to
So
10. Yeah.
yeah.
Good job. So our top 10. I think there are plenty of originals that deserve a sequel. I think there are original series that deserve more entries as sequels or prequels or however they want to do it. But I think we came up with a good 20 right there. Well, I guess it wasn't 20 because we shared a few.
Yeah. But they, it would I think if we had an event with where all the originals, well, obviously I want some new ones, but there were a couple of originals that were sequels that were some of these, I would be very, very happy.
Oh, yeah. I'd be stoked. Before we wrap up this episode, we do have a voicemail. So let's take a listen to that.
Oh, shit. All right. We got a motherfucking another spec map. Let's get it. Okay. So, this is what we got to say. We know Ghostbusters that shit's probably happening. We got 2 times with the Cadillac symbol. Usually that shit means it's probably it's gonna happen. So now, as I'm looking at this motherfucker, we went from a school, which was the school for the tribute store, comic book shop, half black and white. New one has a house, half black and white. I'm thinking the Boris Schuster house or something similar. Maybe we'll get a comic book house. Maybe it'll be something that's in reference to that tribute store, but not necessarily the fact that it's going to be black and white, but just that we're going to get a cool, dope-ass comic book house. That would be dope as shit. The popcorn, that got me excited. I'm kind of hoping for, like, some killer clowns from outer space. That would be dope as shit. Let's see. Mr. Sweets, that's looking like that might really be a thing. I don't really give a flying fuck about it, but it's cool. Sad about Freddy possibly dropping. And yeah, it looks like we got more South America, Mexican shit going on. So excited about what that might be. And I also have a feeling that we might be getting something with the nun, something with that lantern. And I don't know. I just got that vibe. I have a feeling. But yeah, I don't know. I was just fucking around looking at the map, seeing what's good, and yeah. So love y'all like I love y'all. Can't wait to hear the next pod, and let's get it.
As always, thank you so much for calling in. We can't wait to hear your next voicemail, so we'll be waiting on that too. Sorry, this was like we literally missed this by like half a day from our last recording, so that's why this spec map voicemail is on this episode. But look at that, another Boris Schuster mention. Look at that, he's popping up all over the fucking episode.
He really is.
I love the concept of also the like comic style house. That's something that I don't know if we're gonna get at this point, but I would fucking love it if it came true. I would love it.
Completely agree. And listen, I know that on that map the popcorn technically was an original, but I'd always take a Killer Clown's house any year. I'll
Any
take
Killer
it.
Clowns mention, you're in.
Exactly.
And I like the Major Sweets being like a yeah, whatever.
I love the way you said it.
I think that's
Yeah,
I think I said it a little bit, nicer, but I kind of have the same feeling as you do about that. Like I'm like Major Sweets. I mean, it could work, but it won't be my favorite option
mm-hmm. Yeah.
for an icon. I'll say as a standalone house, I'd be a little more just on board.
That makes sense. They could do a lot with a standalone. I think they can take it a couple different directions that could be fun for sure. I don't know much about the nun, but I guess that's a possibility.
Yeah, there's like a lantern featured. Similar, I think it was more important in Insidious, probably, and that's why that's kind of become the big rumor. Also, that it was rumored before the spec map. But yeah, I could see it. It makes sense still. All right,
Yeah.
I guess that wraps up our episode. So before we head out, you want to check us out on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at HHN365. Our TikTok at HHN365pod. Join our Discord server. Awesome discussion about everything that we talked today and much, much, much more. The link is in the description of this episode. If you want to go check out those new shirts, we were talking about the Oddfellow, UV reflective, tie-dyed, or standard black, whichever one you prefer. Those are available on HHN365.com right now. And if you want to leave us a great voicemail as well, that's 407-906-4134. That's it for today, and we will see you in the streets.